Hey guys, Onan here. Hopefully the audio is okay. I've been having some difficulties getting this mic to work with this phone I have. So bear with me. Hopefully the quality of the content will make up for the lack of quality of the audio. So I posted over on Twitter today something to the effect that um, I'm often accused of being a slave to my passions and being a weak man because of the stuff that I talk about and I guess I don't know if you could confessions or acknowledgments I make about where my struggles have been in the last, let's say, 22 years of being married. And maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I really don't know how I compare to other men, other than the handful of loudmouths on the internet who apparently don't have any of the same struggles that I have. But you know, I'm not sure that's necessarily a good reflection of most people. I'm just speaking from my own experience and acknowledging pretty transparently kind of where I have found the difficulties to be. And, just to reiterate, we've been married 20 plus years, 9 kids, have never used birth control, have, I would say, up until the last year or so, have not attempted to use, let's say, other acts. So it's always been the conjugal act when we can and nothing else when we can't. And for me, at least, those those fairly lengthy periods of when we can't generally resulted in solo on a fairly habitual basis and in and out of the confessional, constant moral guilt. I mean, that was really the recipe that led me to start the podcast in the first place. So I'm just laying that out there. And I'm not here to tell you I'm cured of all that. And if I'm being honest, I've just, I don't know, reached a level of moral peace with it more than trying to fight it so much. So just laying it out there for you so you guys know where I'm coming from. But the other thing that I said is, whether you like it or not, and this is not justifying anything, but it is, for me at least, has been a price that I have paid for being the father of a large family because really for us, NFP itself hasn't been, we really haven't used NFP for extended periods of time to avoid getting pregnant. The last year has been the longest sort of consecutive time. But oftentimes abstinence is built into your marriage because you have a lot of kids, a lot of young kids. Mom is just exhausted, mental load. I mean, it's hard to make that happen. Um, and so there are lots and lots of opportunities for extended abstinence in marriage, at least abstinence from the conjugal act. And for me, that just meant eventually I would reach a breaking point because I wanted to sleep or just whatever, and that's what I did. And that's um, now there was a brief period of time last year before we began this NFP cycle where we went about 4 months postpartum. My wife wasn't fertile, and we made a commitment to being intimate every 4 days, and we did that pretty consistently that entire time. And I can tell you, I had absolutely no issues with any of that on a frequency of every 4 days. I, I really wasn't even tempted to, but I didn't have any actual, slip ups or anything like that on that kind of frequency. That kind of frequency is not possible in marriage if you can't use contraception or you have a lot of kids or whatever the case may be. If for example the church, and so what that meant is I often dealt with it myself. I was guilty about it, angry about it, somewhat resentful to my wife, often resentful to God because of it, rightly or wrongly. And I just can't help but wonder, it was that somehow better than, let's say, us using intermittent contraception to have some intimacy when pregnancy was just not realistic, and probably it would have meant that we had our kids spaced out a little differently than we did, and so I think the chaos of the household would have been a little different. I think a lot of things could have been different that would have made it possible for us to be intimate more frequently. But trying to be good Catholics, we don't use any of that stuff, and didn't use other acts or anything like that. And so I'm just telling you, the result of that was me struggling with solo for many years. So it is what it is, and if I had to do it all over again and either trade my kids and trade some of my kids so I didn't have those struggles, I would go through those struggles again, and I would march in and out of the confessional if I had to. But that's not really the Catholic way. We're not really supposed to do it that way. But if I'm being perfectly honest with you, I would. So I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I mean, then there's a few there's a few options. One theoretical option is the church permits contraception. I'm not an advocate of that, but that is, if the goal is to avoid the stuff that I have gone through, that would be one solution. A second solution would be to more clearly permit couples to engage in other acts. My wife, it's just not something she's really comfortable with for the most part. And maybe for a lot of couples it isn't, but I think for a lot of couples, if they could do that guilt free at the beginning, I think they would find that would be a huge benefit. Or you're just gonna have to tolerate solo. I mean, and yes, I guess the fourth option is now just be a man and suck it up and whatever. And okay, fine. I mean, there's a tiny fraction of people that can actually do that, and I'm just not one of them. Okay, I'm not one of those people. So I don't know. I'm grateful that I've kind of reached a point in my life, I'm aging a little bit, where it's not quite such a problem, but I have just decided I'm not going to be constantly bent out of shape about it. And it has greatly improved. I would say it's greatly improved our marriage, for better, for worse. And I just think that we just should just acknowledge the reality of it without really. Everyone is afraid of by acknowledging it, we're going to condone it. And I'm not even saying you got to condone it. I'm just stating facts. I'm just stating facts here that I think are very uncomfortable for people. But you know, I think there's this illusion. Oh, you got this big family, everything. It's just all Mary Poppins and stuff. And sometimes it is, but for the most part, it's not. It's a lot of grinding, a lot of struggling, especially in this area, as you try to be a really good husband and provider for your kids. Um, so it just is what it is, and I'm going to share that. Go ahead and let the comments flow in about what a terrible, dirty man I am. I guess fine, but at least I guess at least I'm being honest and transparent about it. So I want to share that with you guys. Always appreciate your comments and support. And until next time, everyone, have a good one.